Learning Target 5. Learning Target 5 says I can define, describe, and visually recognize muscle tissue. If you remember, which you should by now, there's 4 types of tissue: connective, epithelial, nervous. Now we're focusing on muscle. Muscle, you guys probably have a pretty good understanding on. It's what allows us to move. It's what you go to the gym to work on. But it gets a little deeper than that. So let's take a look at muscle tissue and what it's doing for our body. So muscle tissue. Its job is to contract with force and produce movement. So when anytime a muscle contracts, it actually shortens. So when we get to the muscular system later in the year, we'll get down into the microscopic level and we'll see how these proteins called actin and myosin slide past one another, and that's what allows our muscles to contract. For now, just know that muscles shorten and they produce this force and allows our body to move. Not just our body, like as far as moving your arms, but allows your organs to move, allows your heart to move, it does a bunch of stuff for us. So pumping blood, moving the skeleton within our hollow organs, it's really found everywhere. Contains many contractile proteins, like I just mentioned. When somebody says eat a lot of protein and help you gain muscle, well, they're not lying. Our muscles are made of proteins, and these proteins slide past one another. This actin and myosin, and we'll see that later in the year. Different types of muscle tissue. There are 3 types of muscle. The first is called skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle, easy to remember because it attaches to the skeleton, or it's attaching to our bones. So if they're attached to bones, when these muscles contract, it moves the bones. And because of that, that's what allows us to move. So think if you go to the gym and you do a set of curls, right? That bicep is moving and it's pulling your lower arm up towards your shoulder, pulling your hand towards your shoulder. You're flexing that joint. Well, that's moving because your bicep is shortening and pulling that lower part of your arm up. So any skeletal muscle attaching to bones, producing movement. So think of biceps and triceps and abdominal muscles and quadriceps and hamstrings, and we could go on and on. These are all skeletal muscles. Now, 2 things that are not on this slide, something to keep in mind. Skeletal muscles are striated or striped. They're striped because of the interaction between those proteins, which I mentioned on the previous slide. But just something to keep in mind right now, and just remember that skeletal muscle is striated. It's also voluntary. Voluntary meaning we have conscious control over it. I decide when I want to exercise. I decide when I want to move a joint. Our next type of muscle is cardiac muscle. Cardiac or cardio. You probably know and probably recognize that that's going to be found in the heart. This is what is pumping blood throughout our body. This is the only area of the body where we find it is in the heart. That's where we find cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle is involuntary, meaning we have no control over it. So our heart speeds up or slows down, heart rate goes up or goes down in response to the needs of our body. So you start to exercise, your heart rate goes up. You get done exercising, you start taking these nice deep breaths, your heart rate starts to go down. Okay, we don't control it. There's some things we can do to help it, but we don't necessarily tell our heart to start beating faster or slower. Also, cardiac muscle is also striated. So skeletal and cardiac are both striated. Our last type is called smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is found in the walls of our organs. And then you see a couple other areas like in the skin and our eyes. These muscles have no conscious control. They're involuntary. So think about digestion. When you eat, you swallow something, it goes to your stomach, and then it goes from there to your small intestine, then to your large intestine. All of that traveling is done by muscles in the digestive system, these smooth muscles that are pushing it along or mixing it with digestive juices or breaking it down. So we have muscles to thank for that. So every organ in your body contains smooth muscle. Now, smooth muscle, I said, is involuntary, just like cardiac. However, smooth muscle is the only non-striated muscle. It does not have these stripes, which you're going to see right here. Okay, so I have skeletal right here. Notice you see all the stripes are in these little bundles. We'll find out about those later. Cardiac, so let me move that cursor. Cardiac here, I have striped. These are actually branching cells. You see how they kind of branch to connect to other cells. That's so the heart can have this nice, neat rhythmic contraction, and we'll see that later as well. And then finally, smooth. These are non-striated, and these are the ones you'll find in the walls of all the organs. And that's all we got for muscles right now.